Welcome back to Fully Stoked Podcast. I am Sarah Stokes, your hostess. Cody's not with us, and this is the second time we've done this today. Second time because I didn't press record, but I did this time. Thank you for being here with us. This is so much fun. I'm here with my friend Lisa Sarullo. She truly is a good friend of mine. I've known her for a little over a year and a half, 2 years. I don't know. It's been a while. And I've learned a lot from her. So she's going to talk to us more about investing, her company, JM&L company, and Monroe Mike. And so she wears 3 professional hats, but she is going to tell us a little bit about some coaching, mentoring she might be doing in the future. And you have a lot to learn. I promise, because even if you're not interested in real estate, she's going to give you some good tips on entrepreneurship and maybe some tidbits on being an introvert and an extrovert's world. So anyway, I am Sarah Stokes, and I am by day a senior mortgage loan advisor with Coast2Coast Mortgage and Sarah Stokes Home Loans. I love helping people with all their home financing needs, refinances, purchases, investment properties, second homes, primary homes. And more than that, I actually really like connecting people like Lisa on this podcast, Fully Stoked Podcast, something my husband and I started a year ago. And this series is Entrepreneurial Women. It's starting to morph and change a bit. Cody is starting a series on Behind the Pass for restaurateurs and chefs. And we want to glean their knowledge and we want to share it with you guys. So if you know anybody who might want to be on that series or this one, let us know. And then we also have our series where we talk as a couple, which is really just silly. We just like to fill the minutes. But anyway, without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Lisa Sarullo. And Lisa, as I said, you have been an entrepreneur your whole life. You told us the last time. Now you're going to retell us. So what got you briefly to this point in your life? And if you want to go back and check out the other podcast that she did with me, it really goes into detail about her journey and like the failures, because we all have failures, right? That got her to such success today. And she really is raw and vulnerable and tells us about it. And I appreciate that so much. But we're not going to really focus on that a lot today because she has some new stuff she's going to share with us. So briefly, can you tell us how you got here?
Well, I grew up, my dad was an entrepreneur, and I watched him and followed him through all of his journey. And he is 82 and he just retired. Sort of a little bit under duress. But anyway, no, he's great. And I think it's in your blood, Sarah. So, and then when we had the opportunity to we were the beneficiary of great information yesterday at a workshop we were at about strengths, and I had done that years ago. And so when I looked at my top 5, my top 5 sort of naturally put me into a place of entrepreneurship, I think.
So you've always gravitated towards entrepreneurship. Now, you were telling me that, so to be an entrepreneur, you don't have to be an extrovert.
No.
I am an extrovert. You were telling me that you are not, but she can fool you because she is very involved in the community and out and doing things a lot. And she was just explaining, if you're an introvert, it's okay. You were saying just to be careful, and you gave some tidbits.
Well, I think that many of us who are always looking to get better are doing things like strength finders, or we're doing our DISC personality, and we're knowing if we're an introvert or an extrovert, whatever. We're sort of finding these labels so that we can be better and we can understand ourselves. But to me, there's a danger in saying, oh, well, since I'm an extrovert or an introvert, that means this is how I define myself. And you have to be sort of able to sort of move a little bit. You need to flex a little bit. And so clearly going to a networking event is really hard for an introvert. I've been to women's conferences with 2,000 women for 3 days. And when everybody's all excited at the end, so am I, but like I'm taking a nap.
Yes.
They think that I'm sad, or I'm like, I'm not sad. This is how an introvert recharges. So
yeah.
I just have to be careful that I don't give somebody the wrong impression.
Sure. I get that. No, I'm an extrovert, but I don't like walking into a room of people that I don't know. I really don't. It makes me very uncomfortable. Sometimes I feel like I'm just going to leave. So I think everybody can identify with that, but your recharge.
Yeah. I'm so sorry. I wanted to tell you something that popped into my head about the walking into a room. You know how scary that is. And even you said that that's not your favorite thing. Do you know, I learned a long time ago, and it was gold.
Oh, yes,
like if you walk in and there's like a small group of people and you're like, well, I got to break in. I walk up and say, I heard this is where all the fun people are. I mean,
It's a good
immediately,
idea.
and people open up and they make
They're
space for
like,
you to
yeah, we're fun. Come on in.
and you're not like awkwardly trying to,
It's a good tip.
break into a circle.
I love it. Yeah. Start with, sort of a compliment. I like it. That's really cool. All right. So tell us about your real estate deals. We're going to talk a little bit about her investing, I think, because I think that's going to be, hold on. So Lisa has a lot of knowledge, and Cody, my husband, will ask me about, Lisa and what she does and what Mike does. That's her husband. And I try to explain it to him, and it's just a bit over my head. So I can hear her and like, yes, yeah, okay. And then I'm like, I don't know, babe. I don't really know how to explain what she does. So what was you just gave like your elevator pitch or your spiel, it was like, this is what we do when you feel like you don't have a lot of capital, right?
We are looking for, well, our vehicle is real estate, but we are really finding people that have a situation. I mean, that is how we're doing what we're doing. But I am looking to also help people that want to invest in real estate and they feel like their barrier to entry is the capital that's needed. Because people, well, as you described, right, you're a lender. And so typically when you are doing an investment loan, you need at least 15, if not 25% down. Mm-hmm. And that immediately somebody is going to decide if that is their barrier to entry or not. And I've even coached some people that are close to me in my world who have used their own 25% down on a couple of properties. And the thing is that that cash is finite. So I am showing them a different way to be able to not have that requirement, that down payment requirement as a barrier to entry.
So just coming from my world, it's so hard for me to grasp. And you've told me about it so many times. We've had so many conversations and it works. It is phenomenal. Lisa's very successful. And so Cody and I are going to take your classes and come to your mentor group meetings and do everything we can to be a part of it. Cody's very interested. You have, it's sort of creative financing, but it's not in the lender's world, if that makes sense. So it's not per Fannie and Freddie guidelines. It's outside of that.
Might I ask you a question about me hearing you say, and it's funny because I get that you've been trained in this way and you know how you do it. And you're like, but Lisa, you're still compliant, but you're out of the box. How do I?
Yes.
Let me see if I can ask you a question that would help you if this is what you say to yourself every time Cody or someone asks you that
I get
question.
tripped up. Yeah.
If I were to say, Sarah, I want an investment loan, and you say, Lisa, you need 25% down, isn't that the same as you saying, I'm going to give you a 75% loan to value loan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure is.
So does it matter to you if I plop the 25 in cash at the closing table? Or could I force equity and appreciation on a project I'm working at? And then I just ask you to give me a 75% loan and the 25 was built in. It didn't come out of my wallet or my checking account.
Because you improved the property. So the equity is there. The value is there. Totally makes sense. So you do the work and then you can use a conventional lender. And then how you get the home before you come to a conventional lender is the creative and interesting way. And Lisa is such a good-hearted person. And I mean, you said we're creating relationships. We're connecting people. We're talking with people. I hope this is okay, but I've seen you help people that are in really bad situations with their homes, and more than fair. And I mean that honestly. Some people, I feel like, Lisa, that was more than fair. That was really good of you. But then you also connect maybe investors too at some point, right? You are connecting people and helping people on both sides of it. She's kind of like this, I don't know, you're working all the different things.
I don't know if that was a strength. It didn't come up in my top five, but I among the other things that I can agree that my top five were, but I am a connector. So I'm futuristic, input, strategic, achiever, and activator. I don't know. Maybe our friend would be able to tell us if connector is any part of that, but no, I do love connecting.
I mean, it's a strategic connection.
Maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. That's very interesting. So anyway, I just, because I think you live it, you work it, but I don't want anybody to get the idea that you're stealing homes from old grandmas. That's not what it is at all. No, it is not that. And I think maybe that there is a perception somewhere out there that sometimes investors can do stuff like that. And those are really not good people. But Lisa is good people, and that is not at all what this model is. That's completely opposite, right?
Well, and I will tell you that part of the natural assumption would be, well, if you're doing creative financing and you're getting a deal that you're improving, therefore you must be preying on people who are in a bad situation. Right. And thank you for clarifying that, because it's not. It does not need to be that at all.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. So that is one of the things that really differentiates you from some investors out there. What are some other things that differentiate you and Mike from other investors out there?
Now that we have enough experience in what we're doing, we almost always have it as a rule, our own personal rule, our own sort of guideline, guide rail, boundary, if you will want to call it. I am not getting involved in a real estate transaction if I do not have access to the seller. And the reason is because it's simply this, and it is the truth. And you know that it is the truth if you know me. Sarah, if you said to me, Lisa, I love cake. And I'm like, great, awesome, okay. So, and you say, all right, there's 5 people here. You all get to decide who's going to bring me the cake. And somebody's like, well, here's a bundt cake, here's a carrot cake, here's a chocolate cake, and we all bring it to you. Well, it's cake. Well, we didn't know that Sarah likes red velvet. But if I got to talk to you, I'd know. So what is the difference if I get to glean that information? And then when I deliver my proposal, it's what you wanted. Mm-hmm. And I can't do that if I don't have access to you. So having access to the seller is my requirement, because then it means that I'm delivering what they asked for. And in fact, we went under contract for a house last Friday. We did have access to the seller because he's selling it on his own. Mm-hmm. We met him once. We both walked through the house. We talked to him. Then I reached back out to him. Let's call him Bob. I won't use his real name. And I said, Bob, we want to get together with you because we'd like to put a proposal in front of you. And he said, oh, I'm so busy. Can you just text me? And I said, respectfully, no, because I'm old fashioned and I just like to be face to face. And there are some other things I want to talk to you about. So he got together with us and I went like this. Bob, here's our proposal. Here's the price. You told me that you needed to stay in the house because you're looking for a place. Here's your seller possession for 2 weeks after we close. You told me you're still trying to find a place. So here's a range of closing date, and you get to extend the closing date 4 times every 2 weeks. It was literally, I delivered on a silver platter what he told me he needed. I couldn't do that through a text message, right. And I wouldn't be able to do that if I did not have access to him.
So does that prevent you from using a realtor all the time, some of the time, most of the time? How does that work?
I have a realtor on my team, and I will work with realtors. In fact, one realtor that we both know in our group invited me to come to see a situation where a family has to sell a property. It's going to need a lot of work. There's a lot of deferred maintenance, and she invited me to come so that I could, it was her contact. It is her contact. It will be her listing, but she invited me to be part of it. And yesterday I told her how much that meant to me, because I said, I know that you can collect the data, but if I can hear every single thing they need, I will do my best to attempt to deliver a proposal on a silver platter based on what they've asked for. So what it means is that I'm not bidding on things on the MLS. I'm just not, it's just not part of my... Mm-hmm.
And the MLS is the multiple listing service, and it's where you would go like on Zillow or Realtor.com. Or if you had a realtor, they will send you the emails. So typically you just don't buy those houses at all. There's probably, have you ever bought a house on the MLS? Probably not, right?
Maybe one.
Okay. Just once. Yeah. So typically not. And you've done this. Do you mind ballparking how many times you've done this?
Well, we currently have 13 properties and we have flipped 5. So I may have done 1, maybe 2. It's not,
wow.
I didn't know. Maybe 2 on the MLS. Now I use a realtor. So I have all of these professionals on my team for the back end of things, just like you as my lender.
Right.
I'm doing all of the things on the front end, and then the end product, I can come to you and.
Right. So where was I going with that? MLS. Realtor on your team.
I usually want access to the seller because the other reason why I am personally opposed to the MLS is because what ends up happening is that means that multiple people are in competition for this one thing. And therefore, what tends to happen is when we're competing with one another, what sets us apart is being highest and best offer.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that didn't necessarily deliver on a silver platter what that seller needed, but I wouldn't know because I didn't get access to them.
And at the same time, if it's on the multiple listing service, even if it's slightly distressed, you really do help people. So you're able to help people who are in a situation. I mean, I'm not going to talk about where any of these properties are, but I just remember a couple of the properties you've talked about over the years. And one of them, did you have Leanne come out? I'm not sure, that had a lot of stuff in it. A lot of
7 dumpsters full.
7 dumpsters for
That's
years of accumulation. I'm having a hard time enunciating today. But that property, you helped the seller. And then are you doing like, and I hope it's okay to talk about, but like you pay them monthly, you help that seller. Like
in that particular situation, we are receiving payments from us. You know what, Sarah, this might be hard for you to imagine. And when sometimes people study real estate investing, they say, oh, it's got to be so hard to get seller financing. Do you know that sometimes sellers insist that the only way they will sell their house is to be receiving payments?
Right. Well, some of them are older, right? And maybe they're not getting Social Security, or maybe if they are, that's all they're getting and they need more to supplement their income. So a monthly payment is more desirable than a lump sum.
Exactly.
And that's helping. Okay. It is really cool. And you have an attorney, you probably have several attorneys, but we both know one attorney who's excellent. And she makes sure everything is just right. The contracts, title. We had one where the lot was just a little messed up from back in the 50s, maybe. And so that one took a long time to get straightened out, but she has a good team behind her. She has years of experience and
great team.
So, okay. I can't wait. Every time I talk to you, it makes a little more sense, you know? It's not that it doesn't make sense. I'm not trying to.
No, it's just it's like asking you to ride a bike, pedal backwards.
It's just a different mindset from what I do 24 hours a day. All right. So stepping up as a philosophy. You talk about stepping up as a philosophy. What does that mean to you?
I believe in charity and goodwill and tithing and all of the things. And so we should help those in need. But one of the ways that we can also truly help people is to help them step up in the world. You know, I was the chair and now I am vice chair this year of a nonprofit in Charlotte that supports women through incarceration and then into reentry. So I believe in second chances. And I just feel like a hand up is awesome. And, you know, I don't just like giving handouts. I like helping people with a hand up, because when you can get a hand up, you are then self-sufficient. And that is a great feeling.
Can I say the name of it?
Yeah, sure.
Change Choices. And they work with women that are incarcerated and they have a relationship. So remember, I said she's a connector, relationship person with investors as well as sellers. And then also just in your ministry and your work that you do outside, create relationships. And you're also a leader. Are you the director? What do you do now?
In my company?
No.
I changed choices. Oh, I'm the vice chair. Yes. So I'm supporting the chair. I did it for a year and then I was like, I can't be in charge of everything. Can't make all the decisions. So we nominated a chair that was voted in by the board and now I'm her vice chair so I can be her support.
Great. That's awesome. Right. So you went to the Kingdom Collaboration last week that Anne-Marie Cooper put on, and there was several different ministries, probably 10 or so. Yeah. This Change Choices. They auctioned off this picnic basket with this delicious looking soup. Everybody wanted the soup and the bread. And I think it was the second most money making one. I got the first most money making one. I think it was $200. I only paid $270 for a weekend away in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. But somebody, I think it was you.
Yeah, I did. I bid on it.
Other people were bidding on it too.
And then I gave the soup and the bread away because I just wanted the journal and I wanted the donations to go to the kids.
You're just sweet. All right. So internal and versus external obstacles. You were talking about mindset, stepping up. So there's a mindset gap you've seen between aspiring investors and new and aspiring investors. So help us understand what that means, the mindset gap.
So do you mean
similar to
like
my mindset
what,
gap?
you mean what might hold people back if they're thinking about
Yes.
going into it? Well, there's a couple things. I think that sometimes people are curious about something. Real estate investing sounds interesting. And then when they learn about it, it's like, ooh, that's hard. But isn't that the same about anything that we have ever learned?
Right.
And so, I just don't think that real estate investing is unique. I could say that if there's anything I want to be a realtor, I want to become a lawyer, or I want to open a restaurant. I mean, any of those things require the commitment beyond the curiosity, and so I think people just have to be willing. I coached people in a sales position for 20 years that was independent, so entrepreneurial. And sometimes, Sarah, people would say to me, I need you to motivate me. And I'd say, I can't motivate you. I can inspire you, but you have to be self-motivated. There's really not much I can do about that. You have to be prepared to be motivated.
I can't remember if we talked about this because I started the podcast a second time, but if somebody was curious, would that be a good thing for them to come to?
Yeah, sure. If they're local, we're going to be doing some meetup groups and just getting local investors together. There's a lot going on in Charlotte, but in Union County, people from Charlotte think that is kind of like another country.
Far away.
So we were doing it in Monroe, but that was really far away for them. So we have linked up with the owner at Grapes in Indian Trail, and she's excited to have us come and talk about real estate and just gather in her place.
All right. So maybe if you get a date, this should go out in about 2 or 3 months, beginning of April, maybe. Let me have the date.
I will.
It's like the third Tuesday or whatever.
Yeah.
Just tell me that and
We're going to be looking to do it on a Thursday.
On a Thursday. Okay, great. So if you're curious and not yet fully educated on investing in real estate, this might be a good place to start. Just come to the meetup. And then I don't think we talked about it this time around. If they continue, if somebody's viewing this and they want to learn more, you are going to start a group.
Yeah, I'm going to do a webinar. I'm going to present some information and have some time for question and answer. I think it's important that there's so many places you can get your education. And so I think a webinar is a great way for people to learn my style and see how I might answer one of their questions. But I am going to be starting a monthly membership for people who want to just keep coming and putting their heads together and maybe, bringing some opportunities that they're finding. Like when we go to the gym, we just keep going and we work out and we keep doing it. It's like, keep going to the group, keep going to the group to sort of exercise the muscle.
You said you've been doing it for 5 years, right?
We started in 2019. We're coming on 7 years.
Wow. So you just never stop learning.
Never. Oh my gosh. Mike and I just invested we made a large financial commitment to go to another wonderful mastermind. We're going to Oregon in August. And on the way here, I calculated I have spent north of $50,000 over 7 years to invest in education and connection with people who are where I want to be, because that's how you do that. And I would have paid more.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's a true testament then. So it really does matter who you surround yourself with. My mom and dad were right when I was growing up. They were. No, I think I'm a strong believer in that. This is why I think when even the group that you and I met in has been so really incredibly helpful in my life. Just surrounding myself with other women who are trying to do better and learn more and be more successful in their entrepreneurial path. And I think your group is going to be great because it's more than just entrepreneurial. It's real estate investing. That's what it's going to be? Real estate investing. All right. I can't wait. I'll let you, if she has the information, I'll drop it in the summary here as well. Okay. So there's a crowded market. You were talking about Charlotte, and there's a lot going on in Charlotte. Is Charlotte and the surrounding areas, is it a really crowded area for investors, or is there always plenty? Is it plentiful?
I just always think it's plentiful. I'm optimistic that way. I think there is enough to go around always. There are certain manners in which I won't invest. I'm not going to go to the auctions and like the highest and best, because I think that there's, for the way that I do it, that's anybody that's plopping down a gigantic load of cash to on an auction property is just, I'm not going to compete with that. So but there's opportunity. There's opportunity everywhere.
Right. Even in my business, I think there's plenty for all of us. So this is a great area to live in North Carolina. Gosh, South Carolina is about 5 miles that way. So this whole area is just fantastic area. So move here if you want to. All right. Well, where financing actually makes or breaks a deal. You were talking about with the down payment. That's really the biggest thing that investors, I mean, that's the biggest thing that buyers, honestly, even if they're for a primary home, is the down payment. It can be the biggest deal breaker or maker. What else do we need to talk about?
I also have a mindset about that too. I have studied a lot, and it's definitely not the traditional way. It is an entrepreneurial way. And if you do it safely, it's out of the box. Using other people's money
Yeah.
and I take on debt happily as long as it meets the financial pro forma and it's done safely. But a funny, relevant right now story is that all of this time I've been talking about other people's money. I didn't have it. I was using it. Then we flipped a house last year and we had a bucket of cash and we came upon an opportunity and we said, well, let's use our own. And now months later, we're about to exit that situation. But when I parted with my own cash, I said, why did I do that? Why did I do that? There are so many other things I want to do with my cash. And the opportunity would have afforded the ability to borrow money. And I just didn't because I had cash on hand. So doing that again.
So let me ask you this, would it be, so you learned a good lesson, would it be, I'm trying to put myself in your shoes, would you have taken that cash and lent it to another investor?
I could have done that.
And then earned quite a
Sure.
interest rate. So let's talk about interest rates because I'm in a different world. So interest rates on something like $25,000, how would you go about paying an investor, friend of yours, for that 25,000? Would it be like 15%? Am I way over?
Well, it's all individual, and we don't have any like brochure or paperwork that literally says, Sarah, here's the interest rate, because that's actually against SEC laws.
Oh, okay.
Because the thing is, I'm not a bank offering a
gotcha.
like CD.
She knows
whatever.
her legal stuff for sure.
And so what happens is, and actually I sat with an investor for coffee last week who is going to be a new investor. And she said, I'm very intrigued. Tell me about this. And I said, this is what the steps look like. First, you tell me how much money you want to put to work. Then you tell me if you'd rather it be in a short-term deal like a flip where you're going to get it back in 6 months. And then you're going to ask me if I have another opportunity and you'll assess. Or you're somebody who is like, set it and forget it. It's like, here, take this for 5 years and just send me money every month, a long-term CD or something. So I need to know how much money they want to put in, how long they want to do it for. And then in my own portfolio, depending on those two things, I am always taking on money, but I am always securing it. It is never unsecured. It's always being secured to a property with a proper lien position. Then I do a financial pro forma and tell the investor, here is how I'm making your monthly payment. And I have a self-imposed rule that I learned from my mentor that says your payment is going to come from, and this is if it's on a stabilized property. So if I have a rental property, I'll attach if I have a mortgage, I'll attach more debt onto the property and I show the investor that I have sufficient equity and cash flow to support their payment. So the percentage that they get depends on their position, if they're first position, second position, the term, and so it's all individualized. But what I can say is those are paying higher than any fixed income investment that I know of.
Wow.
Any that I know of right now. Now, the ones that are on vacant property like flips are higher interest rate, and they are higher interest rate because of the perceived risk, right? It's a vacant property. And so someone needs to believe in the operator, the investor, that they are doing the right thing.
And I've heard stories about people calling you and asking you if they can get involved with you, because she's on social media. So you should follow her if you are not yet. She does great. And she's documented some of their flips. And I think it's pretty impressive. There's some people that have reached out to you. So what about now? Why do you want to teach this to everyone instead of gatekeeping, keeping it all to yourself?
Because first of all, there's enough to go around. So I'm not worried that if I teach it, I'm going to lose out on opportunity. I just believe that there's plenty out there. I love doing the hand up thing. And so if I teach someone how to overcome what they thought was a barrier to entry, I feel like I've helped them. And, sometimes those relationships become partnerships too. Somebody may say, this sounds great, but I don't know that I want to do it. But guess what? My neighbor is in a situation that you're talking about. And then they make a referral.
Right.
I've paid referral fees. I mean, I always just feel like the more that we talk to one another, you never know how we can serve each other. And we learn that when we make the connection.
Yes, that's why it's so important. So what can listeners learn quickly from you right now versus something that it might take months or years for them to learn when they start becoming an investor?
I know that they could easily learn the concepts, the strategies. What I think takes time is practicing the conversations, because the way that I do my marketing, I send a letter that is a very soft sell. It is. And I get some of the letters because I'm a homeowner of these investment properties. And I get some of these letters that are like, that is the cheesiest thing you could have said. And you're so off mark. Here we are, we improve all of our properties. And then I get a letter from some investor that says, don't fix your house. I can buy it in cash tomorrow. And I'm like, but I did fix my house. So your message is not hitting.
That investor hasn't researched it at all.
Yeah. And so in response to those letters, we do get phone calls. And so I think practicing the conversation and feeling comfortable how to navigate it and go at the right pace.
That takes just practice.
It does take practice.
And maybe being around other people, other investors, mentors in the groups, I guess. So,
and in my membership group, we will role play. We will bring those discussions. And I do that with my mentor all the time. And I've been working with him one-on-one and in a group setting for 5 years. And it's like in martial arts, we called it going to the dojo and working out, black belts, yellow belts, white belts. We're all together. We're just in there and we're working out. That's what we're doing. We're working out and working the conversations and learning how to speak to people so that they feel heard.
All right. So I have some key takeaways that I'd like to reflect on. Real estate wealth is accessible for investors. Anybody who wants to do this, you can learn. The strategies are real. The things she's talked about, it's definitely helped. Every time I have a conversation with you, it helps my brain. And then differentiation, I guess each situation is different, and execution, they matter. Yours, like you said, you like to have access to the seller. That's very important. And then you come on a silver platter with a presentation, a proposal, right? And then you don't need to follow the herd. I guess I'm the herd to, you can win. You don't have to do things the way, that I do. Hey, though, if you want to do them, a conventional investment loan, I am your girl for sure.
Yeah.
But
I use them. I use them on the back end. It's just the entry is different.
That's right. All right. What would you tell your 25-year-old self about money?
Money is really everywhere. It just is. And gosh, Sarah, we could do a whole many hours on that because some of my personal story, and we've talked about things like this. Money has flowed in and out at various times. And one of the things that I've learned also through my spiritual walk and my walk with God is that my hands are open. About money. So what would I tell myself? My 25-year-old self, don't do this.
Don't hold on to it.
Because God cannot grow and put more into a hand that's closed. And that's what I'm going to say I could look back.
Wow.
And say that is absolutely true. So yeah, we live open-handed. We're not worried about money. Money is the easy part.
Yes. I love it. So one little tidbit about Lisa, we've gone out to 131 twice now, and we split a bottle of wine both times. And for some reason, both times it didn't come on my check, and she didn't say a word about it. And I was like 2 or 3 days later, like, I don't think I paid for that wine. And she's just so generous. so generous. You have a generous spirit. You really do. But a Venn motor, so don't worry. It did finally get to her, but not a word, not a word. So money is it is a big deal when you have to live, but also, yeah, I like that philosophy. Yeah.
Don't think I'm not. I have spreadsheets and I'm looking at what
does.
we're doing.
She does.
Don't think that I'm disregarding money, but I am not worried about money. Not worried about it.
It's awesome. So go back to the first podcast and you'll hear about her journey and how much her faith has really affected everything that she does as a businesswoman and the circles that she chooses to be in. So really go check that out. I'll link it below. Well, I am so very grateful, Lisa, that you came back and talked more about investing. One thing I didn't add, and Mike is a general contractor, but he has not always been a general contractor. So he does a lot of the work, but he also subs out a lot of the work too. So that's one edge maybe they have, because not every investor can do that, right? But that is a team member that maybe an investor could have.
Yes. And one of the things that we will talk about in our membership is how to vet your team members, because you may not be able to have all of the same resources that we have, but you need to know how to vet a team member and the questions you need to ask.
That's good. Okay.
I also wanted to say that one of the hardest things, and it goes back to mindset, we have all have life experience and we've learned things along the way. And so we accept what we believe as truth or the way that it's done. And so I would just challenge everybody to ask themselves about anything that you have learned before. Is it true?
Oh, I love this.
Is it current? Is it best for me? Because not everybody listening to me will want to do it or needs to do it the way I'm doing it, but all of those things were right for me. Is it true? We always have to qualify everything. Just because we've heard it our whole lives doesn't mean it's true.
That's true.
And also, is it current? Because let's face it, like my grandparents were of Depression era. And during that time, it was the best thing you could do to get a job and save money and stay at that job for the rest of your life, because you're going to get a benefit package, pension. But that's not current anymore. And that truth is not true for now. So I think that it's important to ask those questions about anything that you firmly sort of follow.
Is it true? Is it current? Is it best for me? I love that. And I'm going to just add, is it what God wants me to do? I really love all of that. Thank you so much for being here and sharing this. And maybe I'll have you back and we can even get deeper into one of these areas and you can talk more about it. I will link anything that Lisa gives me, webinar information, meetup information at Grapes, membership information, as soon as I get that to you. And you have anything else to share with?
If you need a loan, call Sarah. You're going to need a loan. If you're doing this, you're going to need a loan at some point.
Thank you. Thank you.
We are getting ready to exit from a property that we have decided to keep. And I talked to you about that the other day. We went into it with some of our own cash and a big amount of investor cash on the front end. And now we're going to refinance that so we could roll that forward and have a property that we get to maintain.
So she does use lenders, absolutely, but not for the bulk, right? But
and not on the front end.
Front end. Lisa, hold on, I'm going to edit this out. Oh, you need to say what Mike does.
Okay.
And I'm back. 3, 2, 1. So also JM&L company, Monroe Mike is a general contractor, like I said. And he does full renovations for bathrooms, kitchens.
Carpentry, that's really his specialty. We sub out roofs and things like that, but he loves to transform a space. And so he does it for us and for individuals. So residential, not commercial.
Residential. And if you have a hard to fix, configure space, he's very creative, right?
Very creative. His sister did a bathroom remodel, but she lives many states away, and she outfitted her entire basement to be like a fully functional 2 bedrooms and a bathroom. We walked in when it was framed and the electrical was done. And the first thing he walked in and said, "Why is the electrical box over there? Why is the door swinging this way? You now lost a closet. You can't You're going to walk in, you're going to have to put your arm around here to flip the light switch on. He sees it.
Sees all of that.
So he is a visionary in the construction world.
So, okay, if we buy this house that we're looking at in Asheville, is that too far probably for him to do?
Not for a friend.
Well, he's got this frog over the garage and it's not finished and it could be anything. It's I mean, it's an open space, it's got the flooring, but it doesn't have insulation or anything like that. So husband wants to finish that out. Anyway, you'd have a cool place to stay when you come up there. All right. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining us on Fully Stoked Podcast, and be on the lookout because Lisa's got some good stuff coming up and maybe even her own podcast. Maybe. I don't know.
Is it true? Is it current? Is it best for me?
Oh, the best for me. Okay. So until next time, we'll see you later, guys. Thanks. That was fun. Very fun. I like that one.